This is State Fair time, Minnesota State Fair time, and the high point of the year for most of us. Yes, folks are here from all over the state, from towns and villages, from cities and hamlets. People from all walks of life meet here together on common ground, friendly, happy, relaxed in the enjoyment of their own state fair. Just who are all these folks? Who are those from the city and the country, the north, the south? Who are the farmers, the butchers, the grocers, the bakers, the men from the factories, from the stores, from the mills, from the mines along the great Minnesota Iron Range? It's hard to tell. The day is filled with excitement, the judging of cattle and hogs, sheep and horses, pickles and jam, and thrills and pleasure. But it is not all fun, for the people of Minnesota are thinking people, and many of the attractions at the fair cause them to think about the things that take place in the state in which they live. Here are displays and exhibits which present vivid pictures of what the state's fertile lands, forested uplands, minerals and other natural resources, coupled with commerce and industry, have done to make Minnesota great. Agriculture, livestock and dairy farming, lumber and wood products, printing and publishing, flour and feed milling, transportation, manufacturing of many kinds, and iron mining are among the leading industries which have changed this once prairie and forest wilderness into the progressive, forward-looking state that is Minnesota today. But soon the cotton candy, the peanuts and popcorn, the soda pop and limeades are forgotten. More substantial fare draws the visitors to the great dining halls that dot the fairgrounds. In each dining hall, little groups come together. Strangers all, in a sense, but brought into friendly relationship under the spell of the state fair. Let's meet some of these friendly people. Look in on them as they find happiness and enjoyment at the fair. Here's Joe Williams, his wife Anna, and Joe Jr., and little Betsy. They're bent on a fine holiday. Joe is a bookkeeper, and the last thing he's thinking of is that pile of ledgers awaiting him at the office.
The man said Mother weighed 140 pounds.
Daddy said Mommy should go out and die.
This is Ed Jones with his wife and son Billy. Real holiday for Ed and his family. The factory where Ed works is completely forgotten for the day. Don Sturgis is a salesman for the milling company, and a good one. But right now he can't sell his daughter the idea that candy is to be eaten, not rubbed on his neck. And here are the Petersons. They're farmers. Carl Peterson owns a farm in southern Minnesota, dairy cattle. And brother Fred is a mining engineer. He's worked in iron ore mines all his life. And over the years, he has watched the changes that new developments and new processes have made on the Minnesota Iron Range. Iron ore holds as much interest for him as bumper wheat crops.
Oh, Billy, what have you done?
Oh, it's just some stuff out of that box.
There. What on earth is this?
That's iron ore made from taconite. Contains between 60 and 65% iron.
This what you dig out of the ground on the range?
Well, yes and no. You see, it's like this.
65% iron. Seems to me that's pretty rich digging.
And we don't actually dig this ore. We concentrate it from hard rock. It takes a long and expensive process to make it this rich.
I've heard that the mining companies are getting out once the good ore is gone.
Well, I don't think the companies are going to pull out yet. But what future do you see in Minnesota mining nowadays? All that ore they found in Labrador and South America is bound to hurt our mining industry, isn't it?
Couldn't get me on the range. Working summer, lay off fall, winter. Too rough. That's right, isn't it?
Now, wait a minute, not so fast. Sure, a lot of people have a lot of questions in their minds about iron mining. People are naturally interested in the Iron Range, what goes on up there, what it contributes to the whole state. But many of the questions are a result of what somebody told somebody else. All the questions have answers. Answers based on the knowledge and understanding of what's going on up there on the range today to make the industry bigger than ever. If you could visit the range, you'd see why iron ore mining is one of the biggest industries in Minnesota and of first importance to the nation. An industry that contributes millions of dollars to payrolls, purchases, and taxes. Every community in the state benefits in one way or another. The iron ore mining industry means jobs for thousands of people in Minnesota. About 15,000 people earning more than 50 millions of payroll dollars every year. That supports a lot of other folks. Druggists, doctors, lawyers, grocers, butchers, small retail stores of every kind. More than 250,000 people in northeastern Minnesota are directly or indirectly supported by the mining industry. Think of it. Everywhere you look, you can see for yourself why the mining industry must plan for years and years ahead. You can see it in the great Hull Rust Mahoning open pit, the largest of all the iron mines. Mining iron ore in the open pit seems like an easy job, but it isn't as easy as it appears to be. Open pit mining involves a lot of big machines to dig and process the ore, railways and ships to transport it to the nation's steel mills, and the working together of thousands of people stretched over 1,000 miles, and the spending of hundreds of millions of dollars to get the iron ore to the steel furnaces. Yes, there was a time when the Mesabi Range held good pockets of iron ore. Those pockets of high-grade ore were like small raisins tucked away in a great pudding of iron-bearing rock. The high-grade ore represents less than 5% of the mineable portion of the rock formation that contains iron. But no matter how much ore was dug out of the ground, there was always a need for more. And then, after 50 years of mining and 2 world wars, something happened on the old Mesabi Range. The shovels were beginning to scrape bottom. And before long, the word spread fast that the digging was running out. The great deposits of good iron ore in Minnesota were fading away. And that good ore, billions of tons of it, was to be had in foreign countries and even in other parts of the United States. The companies were going to quit. The Minnesota Iron Range was all washed up. Yes, sir, that's what a lot of people thought. What those people didn't think about was this. For many years, mining experts have considered that the end of Minnesota's high-grade direct shipping ores would come someday, unless ways could be found to use the tremendous quantities of low-grade ores.
But I understand there are still several 100 million tons of that high-grade ore left in the ground. How about that?
You sit here, Mr. Williams. We're going to take the children over to the Midway for a while.
But if the mining companies used only high-grade ore, there wouldn't be any great future in Minnesota iron mining. But they are out to keep the Minnesota Iron Range in business. A bigger and better business than we've ever thought of for generations to come. Now, here's what I mean. Now, in addition to the good iron ore you are talking about, which contains about 51.5% iron, there are hundreds of millions of tons of low-grade ore. Ore which miners call lean, wash, or intermediate, with a much lower percentage of iron. And a street gray rock called taconite, which is nature's original iron-bearing rock, containing as little as 25% iron. It's all these ores together, plus the great advances in mechanical methods of mining and metallurgy, and more millions of dollars for experimentation and new processing plants that hold the future of Minnesota mining secure.
You make it sound like a complicated operation just to scoop it out of the ground.
All mining is a complicated and costly operation. Even an open pit mine, which seems so simple. For instance, when you see a popple and pine forest up on the range, you could be seeing an iron mine, but you'd never know it until you did a lot of exploring. You first have to drill down to find out if there's ore beneath the surface. You may have to put down 100 holes or more. And if you're lucky enough to find it, then you plan how it can be mined. Then roads have to be built through the forest to bring in the equipment. Some of the machines weigh 20 tons and better. There are deep layers of sand, rock, and clay that cover the iron ore. All this must be stripped away. Miners call this waste material overburden. In some open pit operations, this waste material, as deep as a 30-story building, must be removed before you get at the ore. And that's only part of what makes mining an expensive business. Now, you said something about no work in winter. Actually, there's a lot of work done in the wintertime. For instance, stripping, clearing away the waste. It goes on all winter. And most big repair jobs on the big equipment are made during the winter. And underground mining goes on throughout the whole year, never stops. And here's a point to remember. The costs of producing underground ore are large. So large that only the highest grade ores may be mined by this method. Underground mining is a big job, a complicated job. An underground mine reaches in many directions with a network of tunnels called drifts. The ore is scraped from the drifts into cars, carried by an underground railroad to a skip hoist, which lifts it to the surface. Does that sound like they're busy only in summer? No, sir. There are more operations starting up all the time. The way they're operating today, that off-season bugaboo is becoming a thing of the past.
You claim, then, that mining will be as steady a business as manufacturing?
Why, certainly. The mining of iron ore today is already becoming a manufacturing business, because a whole lot of the ore has to be processed or concentrated by one method or another before it can be used. You see, even all the good direct shipping ore is not ready for the blast furnace when it's scooped out of the earth. Some of the ore is mined in the form of huge chunks. Big plants have been built throughout the range country to crush and size this ore as it comes from the pits. It takes crushers, big ones that cost a lot of money, to break up the chunks, reduce them to size. Most of the direct shipping ore has to be crushed. It adds to the cost of mining, but does not increase the iron content. It has to be done, however, before the ore can be used at the steel mills. And it may seem strange, but mining calls for a laundry, big washing machines to clean low-grade iron ore. Washing is the most common practice of iron ore concentrating. Low-grade material, going in at the top of the great plants, works its way down through many complicated machines. Lighter sand and impurities are carried away in moving water to leave only the good ore ready to start it on its way to the steel mills. And every care is taken to remove silt and other waste material from the water used in washing iron ore, so that clean water is returned to the lake or stream from which it was drawn. Hundreds of thousands of tons of ore were set aside not so many years ago, not usable because of their low iron content. Today, experiments are being made to extract iron ore from some of this crude material formerly considered waste. Before these experiments, no one even considered this ore in reserve estimates because it could not be used. But now, as these experiments work out, hundreds of thousands of tons of this ore are being added to the iron ore reserve of the state. With over 50 processing plants, big and little, in operation, conservation is being continued, and the life of the better deposits is being prolonged. In some plants, the low-grade ore is screened, crushed, jigged, and washed in a single continuous operation, literally manufacturing good iron ore from material once thought too low in iron to bother with.
Seems to me these new methods are actually increasing our usable iron ore supply.
Exactly. And in addition to those, there's the taconite, a hard iron-bearing rock found in great abundance in Minnesota and also in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Canada. Not many years ago, everyone considered this rock as waste, just troublesome overburden that had to be blasted out to get at the ore. But mining men, assisted by the University of Minnesota Mines Experiment Station, are working out methods to convert taconite into high-grade ore. They hope to do it at a cost to compete with other ores. Much work has been done to process taconite. There's still more experimenting going on all the time. The process of manufacturing high-grade ore from taconite sounds very simple. It consists of blasting and crushing the rock apart, treating it to separate the waste, and putting what is left back together again. But to do all that on a commercial scale takes lots of money and thousands of men. Just think what it would cost to build and run a commercial taconite plant. Pay many more workers, pay for power and machinery. Somebody has to go out on a limb to the tune of millions of dollars just to find out if it will work. Somebody has made the venture, the mining companies, with the result that taconite processing is no longer a rumor or a dream. It's a fact, though it's only in the experimental plant stage now. How big a commercial activity this may become in Minnesota in the future depends upon whether or not the industry can do this at a cost that can compete with taconite from other states and countries and high-grade ores that are mined in other places. If the industry is able to take the next step, the use of manufactured ores supplemented by reserves of good natural ores, the future of the industry in Minnesota is really bright. This taconite process is simple to tell about, but it involves a lot of ingenuity. Special plants, each one costing a fortune, had to be built throughout the range for research and experimentation to try out different methods. The taconite process begins with the mining of the rock. The drilling machines go to work. A jet-piercing drill operating at temperatures up to 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit burns holes through solid rock for blasting. One shot, and tons of crude taconite, all hard rock, can be torn loose from the earth. The dark streaks in this rock are iron ore, but the ore is in very fine particles, some of them smaller than a speck of dust. To separate the ore particles, the rock has to be crushed and then ground again and again to reduce it to powder fineness. The powdered taconite, mixed with water, goes through a number of processes designed to separate the iron ore from the rock dust. The fine particles of iron ore are pulled out by strong magnets, and the coarser, low-grade material is passed back through the mill for more crushing. But the job is not finished then. Right now, this concentrate is as fine as powder, so fine it can't be loaded and shipped. It has to be put back together again. Now, one way to put the taconite back together is by pelletizing. Make round pellets or marbles of uniform size out of the powder. In pelletizing, the small balls roll out of the drum onto an endless belt which carries them to the furnace. Hot gases bake the pellets hard enough to stand up under the trip to the steel mills. Another method is called sintering. And still another called nodulizing. In this rotary kiln, heat is applied to the powdered taconite. As the binding agent burns out, it leaves a solid lump of iron ore. Each method does substantially the same thing.
Well, that's almighty interesting. But how does this new process of making ore out of rock affect the natural ore we still have in the state?
The great promise of the future lies in the conservation of our iron ore by joining this new development with what we have. Iron ore mining today is really one great manufacturing process in which all types of ores, from the lean taconite rock to the richer natural ores, are used under an overall plan of each producer to provide a tailor-made supply of ore the steelmakers need. We can ensure the future of iron ore mining in Minnesota if we treat our combined iron ore resources as a single source of raw material that has to compete with the products of other regions.
Yes, the mining industry today is a highly specialized manufacturing business that supports, directly and indirectly, nearly 250,000 people. 250,000 people who create a great market for the products and services of many other industries in the state of Minnesota, which benefits all the people in the state. Farming, for instance. The people in the Iron Range country do not begin to grow all the food they eat. So they buy farm products of farms all over the state all the year around. Small and large contractors from all over the state supply timber and other materials and services for the mines. Manufacturers of many kinds sell equipment and machinery and thousands of other items, big and small. And railroad transportation of iron ore provides jobs for many workers. every school district, your own school district, even the University of Minnesota, benefits directly from the permanent school trust funds built primarily by iron ore taxes and royalties from state-owned mines. Yes, no matter what you do or where you live, iron ore mining benefits you in some way. Hear that? That's an ore train, a symbol of a great Minnesota industry. An industry that helps make busy towns and cities all over the state. Tree-lined avenues of comfortable homes, smiling, happy children. The people in the range country, in almost any one of the towns among the hills that make the Mesabi, the Vermilion, the Cuyuna, know their continued prosperity and future security depend on this new era in iron ore mining. And the people in the rest of the state will also benefit from this great industry. This is the faith of the mining companies in the future of the mining industry in the state. A faith that the people will wholeheartedly support such a program. The people of Minnesota can contribute to such valuable development by public understanding of the iron mining industry and by encouraging policies of government which will extend to iron mining the same treatment accorded to other manufacturing industries in the state. Yes, people will stay on the range, work in these plants, build their homes, raise their families. The range and the whole state of Minnesota will see a security greater than ever before.